Doc Slab Audio on music production and audio engineering. Welcome to Doc Slab and Doc Slab Audio. Welcome to my audio engineering and music production channel. In this video, I'm going to give you a little bit of direction to my channel and a little bit of insight. So hold on a minute while we take a look at the channel. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is the fundamental thing that you need to focus on, in my humble opinion. That is, get really good productions done as well as possible. Get really good performances performed as well as possible. Get as good a captures as you can and filter them and clean them up to the best of your ability. This is fundamental in having a good production. The production needs to stand on its own, meaning after the captures are done, that you can drag your production into the session, listen to it as is, and it sounds great. That's where you want to be. Everything about the production sounds great right there and then. Because as an audio engineer and the producer, at that point that you want to do slight edits, you want to do, maybe a little tuning here or there, something like that. Nothing extravagant most of the time. And then enhance things, with your equalization, your spatialization, your reverberations, to try to make things sound bigger than life. Does that make sense? But don't kill it with your audio engineering. Don't kill the production with your processing. Keep in mind that a lot of things on my channel are options for you to check to see if that needs to happen, and options to go through so that you make sure things are edited well and then enhance what is proper for the production. Keep that in mind. That is your fundamental focus. If you keep that in mind and make that your fundamental focus, you will be a much happier producer and a much happier audio engineer. Okay, let's address your home studio. You can see this picture here is a picture, an older picture, a little bit older picture of my home studio. It's very minimalistic, so I want to debunk the myth that you have to have tons of expensive equipment and a huge studio to do radio-ready productions. The focus needs to be on you. You need to make yourself a better producer. You need to make yourself a better audio engineer and worry way less about having the most or the best equipment on the planet to get your production done. If you get that in your head, you can produce radio-ready productions from a very small home studio. I know so for a fact. Focus on you being the issue, making yourself a better producer and yourself a better audio engineer. And you will find you will rely less on your equipment and worry much less about how good of equipment you have, because equipment is pretty good nowadays. Focus on you. Okay, the next thing, if you look at my audio engineering channel, in the About section, down below there's a place called Doc's Notes. That's a downloadable notebook that is an edited version of the notes that you'll see in all kinds of videos on my channel. That's a starting point for you to start putting together your own workflows and your own checklist, and to have some references to start out with. This is what the notebook looks like. It's got a very beginning introduction that talks about the notebook a little bit, and then it's got tons of information in here that's reference material for everything from sound, music, acoustics, DSP, signal processing. I mean, all kinds of information in here for you to look through and sort through. Even composition. There's even a composing section inside this notebook all the way down to where it has a studio production section that is a basic workflow to get you started. Starting with, this is basically my basic recording process that you can edit these notes any way you want or adjust them to how you like to work. But it's a starting point to give you somewhere to start from or to give you ideas to help you get going. You can always add tons of your own notes in there. There's lots of areas in here for you to build upon this notebook so you have a really good reference and really good place to keep your workflows and your checklists for when you're going through productions. There's a lot of information in this notebook to help you, and you can ask me any questions you want by emailing me or asking questions on the videos. But it's a great reference and starting point for you to start working out your own workflows and your own checklists for how you like to work and how the kind of productions you're working in. The next thing I want to point out is on my channel, if you look up in the corner, there's a couple of different links up here. There's an audio calculations link, and there's a couple of those, and another link to another YouTube channel and my website. I wouldn't worry much about my website. I basically do teaching, so my website's kind of on standstill. So on these calculations links, if you click them, they are links to calculations and topics related to audio engineering. There is a lot of information on these links. This individual put together a couple really good sites, and so I put those links on my channel because there is tons of information here for you to dig through as an audio engineer. And there's also a search engine that he has with tons of topics related to audio engineering and music. So I really suggest you explore those to expand your knowledge and wisdom, because there's some great references and some great places to look around. And there's also a link to my Doc's Music Theory Lab that teaches music from the basics on the piano, starting on the basics on the piano, basic theory up through advanced theory and written theory, and then theory again from the standpoint of the guitar, because I think most audio engineers and producers should have a fairly good understanding of music theory, and so the channel is available for you to take a look at. Okay, so let's talk about the channel a little bit, and then we'll get to the main focus of the channel. But first of all, I want to address that there are tons of videos on this channel. Not all the videos are on playlists, but there are a lot of playlists. And if you go through here, we'll talk about some of them, that besides the main focus of the channel, there are tons of things we're addressing. Noise, saturation, distortion, the equal loudness contours, phase, complex polar waveforms, loudness issues, parallel processing, sound sculpting, sound itself, basic processors, intermodulation, distortion, stereo field, signal flow, audio analysis, learning audio engineering, acoustics, the science of sound, microphones, synthesizers, MIDI information, signals, types of signals, music theory, the basics, whether you should go to school or not for audio engineering, some thoughts on that, analog warmth debate, monitors, getting a good full mixed sound, processing tools, noise, saturation, distortion, again, the loudness issue being dealt with, flow editing, the clarity guides and clarity issues, that's something to look at, notebooks and some thoughts on that, equipment, some thoughts on that, recording environments, listening environments, cleanliness, preparation for production, subgroup mixing, mixing phases, processing phase, editing phase, recording phase, subgroup processing, group mixing phase, group processing phase, mastering phase, distribution package, effects, equalization, maximizers, reverb, and on and on. There's stereo or mono, quality types, sibilants, plosives, density issues, ADSR, transients, harmonics, timbres, better compressed mix, audio issues, timing issues, every moment in time matters, impulse frequency responses. These are all subgroups and playlists for you to address some of those issues, and there's lots of other videos besides that on the channel, but those are some of the playlists that are supportive of the main focus of the channel. Okay, so let's get to the main focus of the channel. And before we start to actually look at that, I want to address an issue that I talked about a little bit before, that I've been teaching for quite a while and studying for quite a while and producing for quite a while, and I've found that it seems a little bit backwards sometimes when I'm talking to people learning audio engineering, because the issue is they normally are having problems further back in the line before any audio engineering even happens, because they're not focused on the things they should. You would be very surprised to see that a lot of audio engineers producing the stuff that you really think is some great stuff aren't doing nowhere near as much work as you might think, because they're working with really good productions. They're working with really good performances from really good performers, and they're getting really good captures. And after they get really good captures, they do really good filtering and cleaning whatever they've captured to where that can be drug into the timeline and listened to right there and then. And it sounds great. Then they go to work doing magic, okay? So you really need to keep that in mind. So when we start looking at the main focus of my channel, that I'm going to go about this just a little bit backwards, because basically I'm going to start with my third master series. My third master series is on becoming a production engineer. Everything from doing the composition, the arrangement, making sure the dynamics are done real well, and all the performances are done really well, so you have a great production performed well, because those are the productions that you hear as magical. And it's not as much the audio engineer sometimes, although the audio engineer makes things bigger than life when we do a good job, okay? So I've put this channel together for those trying to become production engineers to, in my opinion, where they should be focused. And for you audio engineers, it's going to help you to understand so that you can be better audio engineers, because you will understand these things about being a production engineer, and you will take those into consideration, and you will catch those issues when there are problems, rather than thinking that it's an audio engineer problem and that you're having issues with your audio engineering. Because I found that a lot weren't. It was a problem with the production. It was a problem with the performances. It was a problem with the captures. And so I put this series together, this Master Series 3, so that the production people that are watching my channel can have a really good understanding of what they need to focus on to be a production engineer and do a good job of it. And for audio engineers to be able to look at that, understand those concepts, so they're much better able to evaluate productions, if things need to be fixed, if they need to go back farther in line, and you know what, to help them really focus on their skills not being the issue, that it's possibly the production, the performances, and the captures, and take that into consideration so they focus on what they should to become good audio engineers. So that's the first thing on the focus of this channel. The next thing is, I put my first master series together, and it's a lot of videos. It's like 164 videos or something. And that whole series is designed to audio engineer a project from beginning to end in distribution. And that doesn't mean that you do everything there. It was designed to help you understand things you need to check, options that you can perform on your production, things that do happen, things that you should take into consideration as you work through a production, and to really help you put your own workflows and checklists together as you develop as an audio engineer, as things that you should be aware of, and things that you should check, and things that are possibilities that you can take your production into, and possibilities that you can mix and process and edit your audio with. So you really need to look at it like that as you go through the production. And I put my notebook on there that I talked about, so that you can edit and go through the notebook while you watch that master series, to really help you start taking steps forward as an audio engineer, so that you do the important work. That means practice, 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 experiment, 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 hone your skills, hone your skills, hone your skills, you know, really in that area. So that's what the first master series is about. It is about audio engineering. Okay, we go into the second master series, and the second master series is the next level. And basically, in the second master series, we are looking a lot at analyzing audio, we're looking at analyzing metering systems and understanding them, and we're looking at the most primary things that you're really going to be focused on as an audio engineer, besides mixing in your processing area, which I found a lot of people have problems in. That is equalization, that is stereo fieldwork or reverberation, spatialization processing, and sound sculpting, just fine-tuning things so things sound as good as possible for when they're done with their processing and they can start mixing, which is not that big of an issue once you start to hone your skills at it. So those are the focal point of the channel. First of all, I think that even the audio engineers should watch this third master series to have a much better understanding of what a production engineer is, what he's supposed to be doing, so they have a much better idea of what's going on and what they're working with and what issues might arise while they're doing their audio engineering. And then there's 2 master series on helping you improve and develop as an audio engineer. I hope that gives you some good direction and some good insight to my channel. I created the channel for people who cannot afford to go to college or don't have the time to spend on digging around on the internet endlessly like I did, and for people who just want to have fun, people who are somewhere in the middle, and someone who really wants to become a professional. I put enough content on my channel, hopefully to help you get to any one of those places. And if you decide you didn't get enough information from my channel to do what you want to do, you'll at least have a really good understanding of what you're getting into before you head off to college and spend $50 or $100 or $250,000 getting to where you want to be. And my best advice is to really take your time, have patience, do a good job, and go back and fix things when they're not done properly, so that things are done as well as possible at each and every stage, so that whatever aspect you're doing or whatever that your job is entitled or entails, that it's done as good as possible, so that you are as good a producer or as good an engineer or as good a musician as you can be, and always keep trying to make yourself better. So peace, hope, love. I certainly hope you enjoy my channel, and I will see you in the next video.